All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another episode of My History with your host, me, Game Tourney Forever. As usual, trying to get comfortable down here on this floor as usual. Anyways, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me again. If you didn't notice in the intro there, here we are with the king of consoles, the PlayStation 2. The highest selling console of all time. My little friend over here, the PlayStation 2, is right here. You may not even be able to see it. It's right by the N64. I have the Slim model, the final Slim, actually, and I'll kind of get into the story of how I got there. But as per usual, we'll talk about the PlayStation 2, my memories of it, my history with it, all that good stuff. And definitely a bunch of stuff I have laying out here. So, anyways, PlayStation 2 is pretty unique for me in that it was probably... So it wasn't the true last system I got when I still lived with my parents, but it was the one right before. But it was the last main system, and I actually didn't even get it. My brother did. But, like... After I moved out, like that was the last system we had at my parents' house, and it kind of marked the end of my childhood for me. I think back to when he got it, which I can't remember. I want to say it may have been 2001 potentially, but I didn't get a lot of games for it, but some of the memories I have with it are pretty good in those last few years living with my parents. But anyway, let's talk about kind of the beginning of the system. So when PlayStation 2 was coming, man, it was hyped. I mentioned in my Dreamcast video, I didn't get a Dreamcast. Not only because, like, we weren't, like, super rich, but also, like, we just had heard rumors, hey, there's another PlayStation coming, number 2, right? And so this machine was just so hyped. I can't really, like, explain how much it was. You really had to be there for it. In fact, I can't think of a system that has been as hyped as the PlayStation 2 from now till back. Like, it just, I don't know, there was a certain sort of special sort of atmosphere around that time. I think because of Y2K was part of it too. We were coming out of the 90s and into the 2000s, and the way the PlayStation 2 looked, it was like this monolith. It just looked awesome. That Model 1, that big, fat, black model, it was just incredible. And I remember the first time I saw it in action, my Aunt Debbie, she was married to this guy, and she'll probably never see this, but if she does, she'll know who I'm talking about. And I remember he brought it around, me and my brother and some of my cousins. And, I was impressed with the PlayStation 1. We were playing Final Fantasy IX a little bit, and I remember he brought it over, and when we saw that graphics leap from PlayStation 1 to 2, I mean, it was just jaw-dropping. And I can remember, some of my PlayStation 2 memories just remind me of that gentleman. I'll just say his name's Fred, but we used to go for, like, Thanksgiving events. We had a big family. My dad had 3 brothers, 3 sisters. We would go to these Girl Scout camps and camp out. And I remember being a late teenager, bringing the PlayStation 2 and playing a specific game in particular with that gentleman, Fred. We'd sit back there and we'd play, and my brother would join in sometimes. But just good memories out of Thanksgiving playing PlayStation 2 in the cabin. Just so funny. I think I brought my tube TV with me and we hooked it up out there. But so after my brother got it and we played it, and I moved out, he kept it because technically it was his. I wouldn't get another one for many years, actually. I think it wasn't until about 2005 when I finally went out and got my own thin model PlayStation 2. And it was the one with the matte finish with the gloss down the center. And I had that thing for years. I used it for PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, and DVDs. And guys, I gotta really emphasize this. That DVD player is, I think, a huge reason why this system is #1 all time. That was huge when it came out. You know, we were transitioning from VHS to DVD, and I got to tell you, if you go back and you watch a VHS and you watch a DVD version of it back to back, the video quality on DVD just blows VHS out of the water, video and audio wise. So it was major. And you know, since I played all that stuff on that PlayStation 2, that laser ended up burning out. It would only play PlayStation 1 games. It stopped playing DVDs and PS2 games altogether. I ended up giving it to a friend of mine. I call him Old Good Buddy. And Old Good Buddy, if you ever see this, you know, I don't know if you remember this, but I told him, I said, you know, it's probably only going to play PS1 games, but I gave it to him and his son, and, you know, I'm not sure how much they played it or what they did with it, but around that time, I went to Best Buy and I got the last model of PlayStation 2, which is this one. This is the one with the half of it's glossy. And this one, I only use it for PlayStation 2 games. I don't put PS1 games in there. I don't put DVDs in there. And guys, I would recommend that. If you want some of this hardware to last, especially for PlayStation 2, you know, play your PS1 games or your DVDs. Like PS1 games, play on a PS1. DVDs and PS1, play on a PS3. You know, find other places you can play these. Don't use your PS2 laser. That's just my recommendation with going through one. So, but yeah. So, and over the years with this system, you know, this has been a system of a lot of solo play, playing a lot of games on my own. I do have some memories where I've had some multiplayer games, and I'll get into those as I show off the games. And as a system overall, I don't heavily go looking and collecting for this system, but if I see something I'm interested, for sure I'll pick it up. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this thing. We'll start going over the system itself and the accessories and games. And so let's start with the controller here, the DualShock 2. Very similar to the DualShock 1 that I showed in my PlayStation 1 video. This is a great controller. Very comfortable, very responsive. The only thing that I am not a fan of that they added in this one is the pressure-sensitive buttons. Some people like them. I'm not a huge fan because you gotta if you press them harder and lighter, they can sometimes do different things. And so I'm just not a massive fan of that. And again, that's just my opinion. But I don't know, to each their own with that. So yeah, I got several of these actually. And looking at the system, it's got the memory cards there. These were much bigger than the PlayStation 1 memory cards. You could actually hold PlayStation 1 saves on it too, but you couldn't load from it. You'd have to move it to a PlayStation 1 memory card. So really they were just used for storage. But each memory card will contain a bunch of saves. I think it was 8 megabytes of memory if I'm not mistaken. Another accessory here is this extension cable. You don't really see these anymore just because most controllers are wireless, but back then we were definitely still tethered, still wired. And I remember the first time I saw this thing, I went to an old friend. We're not friends anymore, but I remember we went to a buddy of his house and they were playing SOCOM on this big TV, and they had these extenders wired all the way back, and they had their headsets on. And I just remember I'd never seen these extensions, and I was like, that is such an awesome idea. And I was like, I have to get at least one of these. And so I did. I picked up one years ago. It's great. I can sit way back there if I want to play on the tube, or over here if I want to play on the flat screen. And that actually leads me to this is one of the first systems that we've gotten to where you can actually get a decent amount of switch between the tube and the HD TV. Most of the games I play here, PlayStation 2 was primarily 480i based, 480 interlaced. And so the games are going to look best on this tube. but you will get some that are 480p or widescreen, which I'll throw over there. And I even have some Tate games that I use with the swivel mount on that side. But speaking of the games, as you guys can see, this was me and my brother's first game. This was the first game he got. And this game, this Ephemeral Fantasia, is legendary for how bad of an RPG it is. It's an early PlayStation 2 RPG from Konami. And I like the visuals, I like the music, but the gameplay is... I'm not a fan. It's like taking Majora's Mask timing mechanics and Guitar Hero, because there's like rhythm sections, and then like an RPG and combining it. And it just, I don't know. Maybe I really need to sit down and give it a good chance, but when we got this, I was just not too much interested. And the next game I got after this, I quickly got into and off this. But yes, this is the first game. But you know what? I'll say this. On this tube TV, I think it looks gorgeous. It has like Dreamcast visuals to me. I don't know if you guys can see that or if you agree with me or disagree, but this game reminds me of like a Dreamcast game, the way it looks visually. I like the look of it. I think it looks great. Just the gameplay. But speaking of that, my PlayStation 2, I'm using the PlayStation 3 OEM first-party component cables and then the optical audio out. This is the first system we've gotten to where I'm using the optical, so it's plugged right into the stereo. So yeah, visuals look great. Sound is great. Yeah, great little system. Now, if you're trying to play this today, if you're trying to play this on newer TVs, this 480i is going to give you trouble. Even some of your deinterlacers and some of your retro tinks and those sorts of things can be troublesome with this. But I don't know. I think the newer ones, they've kind of worked that out for the most part, and you can get PlayStation 2 looking pretty good on newer televisions. But I'm happy to have a tube and a 1080p TV that I can switch between. So, but anyway, let's get into some accessories here. First, we have the GunCon 2. I have two of these. Very comfortable gun. Unfortunately, I don't have any games to play with them, so at some point I need to get a Time Crisis title. Someday. All right, what else we got? We got the multi-tap for the system. And again, I actually have two of these, and you have to be careful when shopping for one of these. They made one for the fat system and for the slim, and they're different. They don't work on the same one. This connector is different on each of them. So I managed to track down two of the slims because I have some games that can be utilized with this that are really cool and really fun to play with a group of friends. And so you know what? Why don't I just show those off? Since we're here talking about the multi-tap. The first two, if you like Diablo style games, or another game I'll get into later, these are really good. If you want to play 4-player, Diablo style, Baldur's Gate, Dungeons and Dragons action style, these are super fun 4-player. They're really tough though. You cannot just run around freely. You will get killed. So you do need to grind, you need to level up, you need to invest in your equipment, try to find good equipment, otherwise you're going to get taken out. And these games are pretty interesting because you could be able to play them online at some point back in the day. I don't know if you can anymore, but I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, very neat. Good games for that multi-tap. And I have another one here. I have more, but I just pulled out a few. I don't think I've ever told you guys, but I'm a big wrestling fan. My dad was a wrestler. I grew up with it. Love wrestling. So had to get SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain. This is known by most as probably the best wrestling game for the system, and one of the best wrestling games ever. This one routinely gets put up there with all the N64 Aki games. So if you're looking for a really good WWF game, and especially during this time period, this just has a lot of great wrestlers. I mean, look at that prime Brock Lesnar on the cover. Just funny. But yeah, if you're looking for a great wrestling game, and this supports 6 players, and I've actually plugged in both my multi-taps and had all 6 controllers, and we're playing here on the big tube. We had a ball, super fun. Okay, next accessory, and you guys are gonna laugh because I think as you guys, I don't know if y'all noticed, but if you look at my videos, the longest video I have is on the Sega Saturn, which has become one of my all-time favorite systems. And so when I saw they had a Saturn PlayStation 2 controller, I had to get it. This controller is what I use for fighting games on this system and maybe other arcadey style games. These are not cheap. These are kind of expensive and hard to find, but I was so happy to get one of them. And you know, probably the game I utilize this with the most is right here, actually. Capcom vs. SNK 2. And this is a wonderful fighting game. And to me, the best port of it is here on the PlayStation 2. I just think the controller is better than the Xbox or GameCube controller, this one. But having the Saturn controller makes it even better. But got a lot of memories with this game. My friend John, who I live next door. So unfortunately, during the PlayStation 2 time, I moved in the middle of high school, the year it came out. And so like growing up, I went to his house and got to play and experience all this cool stuff. I didn't get to experience the PlayStation 2 as much with him because now we lived a town over, but I still went over sometimes. You know, when I got a car and we were driving around. But whenever we would play it, it seemed like this game was played the most. And I remember he used to beat the heck out of me with this one character. He was like a pupil of Sagat's, I believe. I know he had like a mohawk and he kind of had that kickboxer fighting style. I can't remember his name, but man, he used to just trounce me with that character. But so much in this game. This is a great package. Highly recommend, and especially with that Saturn controller. So good. Okay, I guess we'll just start getting into every other game here. First, let me start with some unique experiences for the system. Let's start with Okami. This game is kind of similar to Zelda in a way. It's got a beautiful art style, like a watercolor art style. And you can get it all over the place. A lot of the current systems. I just really wanted it on the PlayStation 2 to have that option for tube TV visuals. There's just something beautiful about the way this blends in here. One thing I'll say about this game too is it is very slow moving. It's a great game, but oh my gosh, the beginning, all the dialogue. You got to be patient, give it a chance. Once you do, I think you'll come to enjoy it. But yes, Okami. Next one, very similar in that vein. Odin Sphere. Another beautiful, fun PlayStation 2 game. Again, on other systems now. I mean, on PS3, PS4. I've just always stuck with the PS2 version. I really like the cover art on this one. This was also a late release. Like, we were getting a lot of PS2 games when the PS3 was out. I believe this was 07, so you know, into the second year of the PlayStation 3 there, which just goes to show how hot the PlayStation 2 was and how terribly the PS3 was doing at the time with its pricing. And, you know, the install base of the PS2, it's like, hey, let's just put the game there. We know it'll sell. So many people have it. And, yeah, just like it says, 10 out of 10. Vanillaware title. Love Vanillaware. One of my favorite companies for their art style. I have a ton of their games. There's a couple I don't have, but this is the one I remember that kind of started it all. I know they did make some stuff before this, but I don't think they were considered Vanillaware yet. But yes, wonderful game. Check it out. All right. Let's get into another unique little experience on the system. Heavenly Guardian. Now, if you guys have seen my Super Nintendo video, you know I'm a huge fan of the Pocky and Rocky series. This is pretty much a spiritual successor to that. So if you've ever played those or you enjoy those, the Kiki Kai Kai games, you're going to love this. And the 2D visuals on here are gorgeous. And you know, this was the era where we really weren't getting 2D almost at all. So when you got lucky and you got a PS2 2D game, typically it was very impressive looking and very nice because it really had to stick out. So this is also on the Wii, but either way, I would try to get this. I just prefer this controller over a Wii mode, so I went with this one. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's talk about some collections, because this system definitely had a couple. And this is another one I remember playing with my buddy John. He had the Mega Man collection, and I remember watching him play and trying to play with him and trying to beat these. And, you know, I know the emulation on this isn't the greatest, but I tell you what, playing this on the Tube TV, it feels good to me. And it was an easy way to get all the games on one disc. Like all the current collections, they're all split. There's like a part 1 and a part 2. It's all here. All here. And they're unlockables when you beat the games. Like a couple arcade exclusive games. Those are super fun to play. But yeah, I've beaten 1 through 7. 8 is the only one I haven't beaten. So need to go back and do that. But this package is cheap now. It's also on GameCube and Xbox, but this is where I would get it. Again, this controller is just so much better, in my opinion, playing a game like this than the Xbox or GameCube controller. Okay, and the other one. This was a big one. I was so happy when I found this. The Metal Slug collection. This thing has like 7 Metal Slug games in it. And, you know, it's hard to play these if you want to play them on the Neo Geo because they'll cost you an arm and a leg. And you can track down different ports of the games on other systems, but you know what? I am cool with this right here. To have a collection to just easily pick which one I want, I mean, for the price, to me, you can't beat it. And yeah, it may not be perfect, but you know, I've played this enough to feel, and it feels good to me. I don't have an issue with it. So if you guys see this and love Contra or any of these run and gun shooting games, oh my gosh, pick this up. Again, you can also get this on the Wii, but I'm just gonna say it again. I'll take this controller all day over the Wii controls. Just my opinion, of course. Okay, let's get into some other games here. Let's start digging into some of what the system is known for, RPGs. This is just like the PS1 and that this is like an RPG haven, and I got a ton of them, but I'm going to talk about just some specific ones here. And so we'll start with Valkyrie Profile 2. Gorgeous game. One of the most beautiful games for the system, in my opinion. And I believe the Japanese version of this game can actually run in 1080i. I would love to see that. In fact, I think after this video, I'm going to go look it up on YouTube myself. Because I'm curious now. But even on the Tube TV, this looks beautiful. But yeah, this game, I don't like it as much as the first because I just love that 2D side-scrolling art style. But if you like that one, you're probably going to like this one. And I don't think I mentioned it, but the PS2 is unique in that it can run in 240p, 480i, 480p, and 1080i. I don't think there were any 720p games. But yeah, the visuals here are amazing. So if you want to play something that's a real showpiece for the system and it's a great RPG, check this out. All right, let's get into some other role-playing games here. So let's just go ahead and knock these out of the way. Guys, if you like the Persona series, if you want to play them how they originally came, except this one because this is an update, here they are on the PlayStation 2. And you know, Persona 4 was a really late PS2 release, 2008 on this one. And yeah, it doesn't have the gold content, it's the base game, but you know, you could still have a lot of fun with this, and it looks great on the PlayStation 2. It's the original way it came. And so if you want to experience that on the PlayStation 2 or Persona 3 Fez, I don't believe this version has ever came out. I know they did the remake and the reloaded, but I think the Fez version is still exclusive to PlayStation 2. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but PlayStation 2 is a great place to play these legendary Persona games that have really put the series on the map. It was really here. I know they started on PS1, but this is where they got big, right here. So I highly recommend these two. All right, let's keep moving along here. Let's move right over to this series. We have the Wild Arms games. I got Wild Arms 4 from Xseed, To me, this is probably the weakest of the three I have, but it's not bad. Just the battle system's a little weird with kind of the hex system. It's just different. Got Alter Code F. This one's pretty hard to find, pretty pricey. Definitely going to spend some money if you're trying to get this one. 3D remake of the original. Really, really cool. I don't have the original. I want to get it someday. But for now, this is the way I play the original. And it's a good experience. It's a fun way to play it. And then finally, the big one, Wild Arms 5. And my gosh, XC really did a great job on the packaging on this one. It is just gorgeous. This is probably the best of the three. The price definitely reflects that. Well, this one and Alter Code are probably about the same, but yeah, I would definitely recommend 5 or Alter Code F if you're looking to get into the series. I don't have number 3 yet. Hope to get that someday along with 1 and 2, but these are the ones I have so far, and it's a great series. I definitely recommend you guys give it a try if you like Western style RPGs. Like when I say Western, like Wild West type stuff. All right, let's get into this one here. This one actually had a recent release collection of games, but the Suikoden series. PlayStation 2 got a ton of Suikoden games. You got Suikoden 3 first. This one, and I'm gonna pause, or I'm gonna just start this real quick so we can get more than just that screen. This game, when I first played it, is very chunky. It is definitely the definition of those early PlayStation 1 and to some degree Dreamcast chunky polygon characters. To me, this is probably the ugliest game in the series. It's still a good game. It plays like through different characters, like their point of view, 3 different stories, and then I believe there's a 4th one you can unlock later. But good game, but not my favorite. I definitely like 1 and 2 better. Now moving on to the Black Sheep, this is the one that most people dislike as well. It definitely is the weakest in the series. I don't think it's a bad game, but it's definitely not as good as any of the others. You're on the ship a lot, out in the ocean. I don't know. I think the character models look better in this one, just me personally. But the gameplay and the story is just not as good as 3 or some of the others. So, if you're a diehard fan of the series or you want to get them all, hey, it doesn't hurt. Oh, by the way, not to mention, you can actually move your Suikoden 2 save file from the PS1 to this one on PS2, which I thought was incredible. It stops here, though. So you get to this one, but then when you play Suikoden Tactics, you can actually transfer your Suikoden 4 profile to this one, which is cool. And when I got this game, it was dirt cheap. I don't know if it's as cheap as it was when I bought it, but I tell you what, I like this one better than the other two. But I'm a huge tactical RPG fan. This game is very underrated in my opinion, and I love some of the voice acting on here. If you go listen to Mark Bussler of Classic Game Room review this game, some of the sound effects he does for some of the characters is hilarious. Go watch that video. But a great tactical game. Check it out if you can. Now, the best game in the series is definitely Suikoden 5. Well, not the series, but on the PlayStation 2, in my opinion. This was really a return to form. Visually, it's the best. Storyline, music, everything. This game is incredible. And the price reflects it. This one is definitely more expensive than these 3. More expensive than Suikoden 1. The second game's the only one that tops out over this one. But yes, if you had to pick one game on the PlayStation 2, this would be the one I would recommend. Definitely check this one out if you can. All right, let's keep moving along in the games here. So, let's go ahead and go over these now. The Xenosaga series. And you guys are probably very familiar with Xenoblade. Well, this is very close to the beginning of where all that stuff started. You got the big mech suits. This is after Xenogears, but you have Xenosaga 1, which was done really well, really good game. Xenosaga 2, it was okay. It's not as good as 1. They just did some things different here, and it's I don't know. This is a letdown compared to the first one. I still don't think it's bad, but it's just not as good as the first one. But you need to play it because you want to get to this one. This is the one that's really, really good. The third one is just a masterpiece. And I got really lucky. I found this lenticular version and never realized that this was extremely valuable. Had no idea. And I got it for a deal, right? There was some discount they were doing, but I found out years later that this particular version is worth some money. So, but this is definitely the best one of the series. The only problem is, again, if you want the full story, you need to play the first two. So, but guys, if you're already playing Xenoblade, play these. I mean, those are long games. If you can get through those, you can get through and play this trilogy. I definitely recommend you do so if you love the Xenoblade games, for sure. All right, let's jump to some other RPGs here. I'm going to start with one that was a huge letdown for me. You know, I mentioned in my PlayStation 1 and my Super Nintendo video, this is one of my favorite series of all time, the Breath of Fire series. I love this series. This game, though, was just a huge letdown coming off Breath of Fire 4. This was another one I experienced at my friend John's house. I remember coming to his house and watching him play it and me just being like, what in the world is this? And thinking like, this is not Breath of Fire. And it was such a letdown. Years later, I did finally pick this up for my own. And, you know, after giving it a little bit of a chance, it's not a good Breath of Fire game, but it's a good game. The thing is, they what they're trying to do is, because you're not going to beat the game in one sitting, you're probably going to die, and there's a system where you restart the game and your rank gets lower and you're able to kind of get into more chests and get farther. It's one of those games where you have to start over a bunch, but you get stronger each time you start over. And so, you know, if that's something that interests you, you may like this game. Because, you know, I saw my friend John, as he got farther into it, it did get cooler and better. But, yeah, just a unique kind of interesting game in the series. Very different from all the others. All right. Now, this next one here, this one is probably one of the best on the system. Dragon Quest VIII. This game is a masterpiece. It still looks beautiful. I'm a huge fan of Happy Console Gamer, Johnny Millennium. I know he's seen my Turbo Duo video, Turbo Graphics. Johnny, if you see this one, hey man, you always inspire every day. And your coverage of Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest is just legendary. And I could be wrong, but I want to say this is one of his favorites. When he talks about this game, man, it just takes you there and it inspires you to want to go play it. And honestly, this is the place I would play it. To be able to play it on the PlayStation 2, on the TV, it is just beautiful. There is a 3DS version. It's more expensive than this one. You could go for that one, but I don't know. I love to play my stuff like this on the TV, but I guess it is nice because you can take it with you, right? But yes, if you have a PlayStation 2 and you haven't experienced this, check it out. I wish I had the outer cover. There is actually a version with an outer sleeve. Hopefully someday I can find that, but it's pretty cool too. It's got the demo for Final Fantasy 12. Now, just to be honest with you guys, if you notice, I haven't pulled any of the Final Fantasy games out for the PS2. And it's not that I don't have them. I do actually have them. They're just not my favorites. You know, 10 was my favorite. My brother got 10 when we were younger. And we played a lot of it. And it's good. It's definitely my favorite. But I don't know. I just couldn't find the inspiration to finish it. And then when 10-2 came out, I played some of that. And although I didn't like the story, I loved the battle system. It felt like the classes again with the different costumes and stuff. And then when 12 came out, my gosh, it looked so good visually with the widescreen and the 480p. But as soon as I got my first battle and turn-based went away, I was just like, what is this? Like, this is not what I want. I guess call me an old head, but I like my turn-based, right? You know, I don't know. And I hope Square is paying attention to how well Expedition 33 is doing with turn-based combat. It can work. It does do well. And I think it's what most of us want. You know, if they were to brought back Final Fantasy in a turn-based style, or gosh, if they did an HD 2D new Final Fantasy, I can almost guarantee it would sell like gangbusters. I think there would be a lot of demand. But no, I picked up the Final Fantasy games for years, but 16 and all the 7 remakes, I never picked those up. I kind of just fell off. I also have Dirge of Cerberus, which is a unique game too back there. But anyway, let's keep moving along here. I'm going to get into some of my favorite games for the system. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I absolutely love these, especially this one. So after my brother got this game, this was the first game I got. And me and him played this so much. I can remember over the years with friends playing it with my roommate Anthony, playing it with my friend John, watching my son and his cousin play this. And I have really put some time into this. I completed every character, the sorceress, the archer, the dwarf, even the secret character, Drizzt Do'Urden. I have them 100%, their abilities maxed, which the sorceress took forever to do that. But I gotta tell you how much I loved this game. You know, when this came out, I'm a huge Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 guy, and so this just really fit that niche for me. It was just so good. And I just have such good memories of this game. You know, I like these so much more than those Champions games personally. And when the second game came out, I really liked this one too. I didn't like it as much as the first, but I thought it was still really good. Somewhere I think certain graphics got better, but some like look uglier in my opinion. I don't know what it is. The water on this just blew me away the first time I saw it. I'll never forget that splash animation. But here, I only completed 3 characters. I played as the Necromancer, and then when I beat it with him and completed him, I did it again with Drizzt Do'Urden, and then another secret character named Artemis Entreri. But the other 4 main characters, the Barbarian, the Cleric, the Rogue, the Monk, I've never played as them, so one of these days I'd love to come back and like play this one more. This game is just so much bigger. It takes longer to play through this one than it does this one, so I think that's kind of what's held me back from playing it more, but it's still a really good game. So yeah, highly recommend these guys. Alright, let's keep moving along here. Let's talk about some more RPGs. The Shadow Heart series. This series has a really good cult following. This game is incredible and it's really dark, and I love I forget what it's like, a dial or a time wheel system. The second game is also really good. There's a little more comedy in this one, but it's super good. These are pretty pricey too, so track them down if you can, but just know you're probably going to spend a little. And then the third game. This one is probably the weakest of the 3. It's still good, but it's not anywhere near as good as these 2. These 2 are really where it's at. So, but if you guys are looking for a dark, kind of cool fantasy RPG series, track down these Shadow Hearts games. They're incredible. All right, let's get to these now. Another dark RPG series. We have the Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner games. And if I'm not mistaken, Raidu just got a remake recently. Man, these games are dark. They're cool. The visuals are neat. I believe the upgrades probably upgraded a lot. I don't care. I'm probably just going to stick with these and be okay with it. Guys, you know, I'm just... And I have no problem with it. I'm glad younger people are going to get to experience these games that are, quite honestly, pricing people out and are on older hardware. But for me, as a gamer that was born in '84, I want to play new games. I don't want to play stuff that I either own or have played in the past. When I had the NES, we got no remakes or remasters from the prior generation. When I had the Super Nintendo, we had a little bit. We had the All-Stars collection, but then they 16-bit upgraded all the Mario games. And they added a game, Lost Levels. We had the Ninja Gaiden trilogy, which was terrible. That's all I can remember. You had some cross-play NES and, not cross-play, but cross-gen games. N64, not a single game prior. GameCube, nothing prior except the Legend of Zelda collection. That was it. It wasn't till we hit the Wii when they started doing that. When they kind of bridged Twilight Princess, they brought over Pikmin 1 and 2 to the Wii with new controls. I'm trying to think if they did it on the Wii U. See, the Wii U, I don't think they did that. They remastered Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but that's all I remember them bringing up. But my gosh, on the Switch, they just gutted the Wii U library. And don't even get me started on Sony. Just the Last of Us on PS3, PS4, PS5. Guys, like, what happened to new experiences? This is something I love about this generation. You got so many new experiences. And I think because a lot of it was a lot of AA developers. You could make games for an affordable price and take chances and be creative. And nowadays, it's just not that way as much. The indies are out there, thank goodness for them. But AAAs, I don't know. And just having these physical discs. This was a Switch 2 key card, I believe. Spare me. Anyway, great games, guys. Get them, play them how you can. The Switch 1 has a true physical edition, by the way. I'd get that one if I was getting either one of them. Now, guys, if you've noticed, I've been showing off kind of darker RPGs, and that kind of leads me to one of my favorite things about the PlayStation 2. This system, for me, I have the most survival horror games on the system. This system is a survival horror goldmine, along with RPGs. And so I'll just get into some of the ones I have here. Fatal Frame 3. Now, this one was PS2 exclusive. That's why I have it here. I have 1 and 2 on another system we'll get to later. I think those versions are better. But this is a great game. Scary game. Fun game to play in a big room surrounded by people in the dark. You get some laughs just from all the jumps and stuff. But definitely recommend this series and recommend this game. All right, next, we got a big one. We got the Silent Hill series. And we got Origins here. This one's a little bit pricey. It also came out on PSP. Good game. Enjoyable. The big one, Silent Hill 2. And still my favorite version of the game. This system, the hardware on the PlayStation 2, what do they call it? The emotion engine and the way the system works, especially on a tube, with the fog and all the effects they knew how to use. It is just built perfect for survival horror games. It feels like scary movies on VHS in a way. But I know they have the remake, and it is good for sure. But I'll always prefer this one. This was just such a masterpiece. Guys, you want to see where the nurses came from? Pyramid Head, it's right here. Go check it out. Probably the hardest one and most expensive one to get for the system. Silent Hill 3. Another really good horror masterpiece. I'll never forget the first time I started up this game, right from the get-go, that scene you're in with like the circus and the music and the sound effects. My God, I had to turn it off because I think the kids were around. I was like, they can't be around when I'm playing this. It'll give them nightmares, right? Man, this game is incredible. There are some 360 PS3 collections with 2 and 3, but they just didn't do them right. You want the OGs if you're gonna play these, or in like 2's case, the remake will definitely suffice. I know that got a lot of great reviews. And then finally, we have the 4th one. Not as good as 2 and 3, but still a good game. And gosh, look at that crazy cover. I mean, man, this is just a great system if you want to scare. So yeah, you got, and there's even another Silent Hill for the system. I forget the name of it, but it's kind of the remake take on the first game. I have the Wii version because it's the one situation where I actually like the Wii controls because your flashlight is your Wiimote. And so I prefer playing that one on the Wii. So, but yeah, I got the other 4. And then let's get into probably one of my happiest things I'm having my whole game collection. Some of the big 4 for the PlayStation 2. We got Obscure, really campy horror game, multiplayer, pretty cool, unique 2-player cooperative mode. And it's a lot more fun to play in cooperative mode than 1 player. You get some good music in this game, and yeah, it's campy, it's scary, but it's fun. I definitely recommend this, although it'll cost you for sure. And that leaves the big 3. Haunting Ground. Picked this up a number of years ago, I think just a little over 200. Capcom masterpiece that I don't think anybody anticipated to be as good as it is. You know, you play this girl and you have this little wolf dog companion, and you're just trying to figure your way out of this giant castle and stay away from this big brute. And there's no way to like fight back. I mean, it's truly survival horror. And I'm just glad I picked this game up when I did, because this thing has just climbed up so high. But guys, if you see this for a deal, get it. It'll be a good time if you like scares and horror. And that's going to lead me into the big 2. Rule of Rose. Now again, I picked this up years ago from Game Over. Got it for $200 exactly. It's complete in box. And this game, let's just get right to it. The gameplay is like suspect. It's not that good. It's like jank. Luckily, because it's survival horror, it kind of works. You know, I think it wants you to struggle. But some of the video, cutscenes, and some of the imagery and things that are going on here are pretty scrub. I mean, look at that little art piece at the top. That's just a little taste of what's going on here. But I think a lot of the involvement with kids probably has a lot to do with it. This didn't have a huge sell value, and it is definitely one of the more sought after, valuable games for the system. I need to sit down and finish going through it all, but this is a crazy one for sure. Happy to have it though. And then finally, the big one. Now I got this for a better price than both Rule of Rose and Haunting Ground. Kuon. Again, complete in box. I think I got this for about $160 at Game Over a number of years ago. This game is really expensive now, and I really think it's because it's survival horror. It's from Software. And it's got a unique premise in that it's horror, and it's taking place in that sort of Japanese style. I mean, look at this crazy guy right here. But like, the gameplay here is better than Rule of Rose. You have magic, and it's pretty neat. This is one that I've put in probably about an hour and a half into, and I want to go back to sometime soon, because it is a really cool game. But is it as much as this goes for cool? I don't know about that. You be the judge. But anyway, guys, that is all the games I had to show and talk about. Getting a little bit of Ephemeral Fantasia here. And maybe y'all could see what I was talking about that kind of that Dreamcast look to it. But yeah, that is the PlayStation 2 in a nutshell. I definitely recommend this system. It's just a matter of finding a way to play it on a TV that you have the hookups for and where it can look good, because playing this system on current day TVs without some sort of scaling device is very difficult with most of the games running in 480i. And then any other memories I have, I think that about solves it. So guys, I'm going to get you out of here on that. That's the PlayStation 2, and we will catch you next time.